Thank you, John, and good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here today. It's an honor to be here today. This is my home. I spent many years, I taught here 13 years in East Baton Rouge Parish and was an assistant principal and a principal, and then moved on. My kids, of course, went through this system. All three of them. My oldest daughter graduated from Terra High School my first year there in 96, 97. So it is home, and my wife spent 30 years working in East Baton Rouge Parish, so it is home. So there's a lot on our plate in East Baton Rouge Parish right now. Testing is right around the corner, and that's extremely important to us. As you know, grades 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th test on computer, and so we've worked over the last 2 years to add 24,000 devices into our school system where our students can test on those computers and be aware of it and proficient on it. We also have the ESSA grant that we just submitted to the state this past week. It's going to be able to help us reimagine our lower performing schools in a lot of different ways with some creative ideas that we will have to do that, and that's really important. But the main reason I'm here today is to talk about the tax plan. And I'm going to give you a little history and then, of course, open it up for questions after a while. First off, the tax plan has 3 propositions. Proposition 1, 2, and 3. But before I do that, I want to introduce our board president, David Tatman, Vice President Connie Bernard, and our staff here too. So I want to welcome them here with us as well. But this tax plan has 3 propositions, Proposition 1, 2, and 3. Prop 1 is for new and renovated facilities, and that's 51% of 1 cent. This is a 1 cent sales tax. It is a renewal. It's been on the books since 1998, and every year since that time, every school that we've built or renovated has come in on time and under budget. And I think that's really important. And that's why the people of Baton Rouge have supported us the way they have over these past years since 1998. But Prop 1 is 51% of that penny. And that generates about $470 million over a 10-year period to build new schools and renovate schools. The second proposition, and each one of these propositions can be voted on or will be voted on separately. Prop 2 is 8% of that penny, and that goes towards truancy and alternative education, making sure all of our kids are taken care of regardless of where they are. And then Prop 3 is 41%, and Prop 3 is salaries and benefits for our employees, and all of our employees benefit from that. So let me talk a little bit about, how we got here. The tax plan it's a big deal. The first tax plan in 1998 was for 5 years. 1998, the second one was in 2003. It was also for 5 years, and those plans, as I said earlier, were overwhelmingly supported by the people of Baton Rouge, and we appreciate that. In 2003, we had another 5-year plan, and then we are currently in phase 3. And phase 3 started in 2008, and it was the first 10-year plan. We are currently in that plan. There are several projects which haven't been completed in that plan. For one, the EBR CTEC, East Baton Rouge Career and Technical Education Center, which is under construction. It's on Wooddale Boulevard, right there past the Auto Center. And that will open up this fall. Students in grades 11 and 12 will be able to go to that school from all over the parish to get career and technical education. Broadmoor Elementary is also in phase 3. If you go down Goodwood, you will see a beautiful brand new school coming up, and that school opens in August. You may look at it right now, Beth, and go, is that school going to open in August? It is going to open in August. Our kids are going to be there. Currently, Broadmoor Elementary is at Valley Park in transition space there. The third school is Jefferson Home Sites. There's a 20-acre site right behind Blue Cross. That is also phase 3, and that is being designed right now and will be built and will open in August of 2020. So that's phase 3. What we're talking about now is phase 4. This will go from 2019 to 2029. Again, it's a 1 cent sales tax renewal. So how did we get here? And how do we get to design and to plan what we will do for the future? And you're all going to get a list of the projects. There are about 23 projects in total. And you're going to get a list of that before you leave today. The first thing we did was a facility assessment. We have to know what condition our facilities are in. And so CSRS, with their help, went through a process over the last 2 years to determine what condition each facility is in. So we have now a roadmap of every facility, exactly what the condition is, what we need to do there if we renovate it, or is it too far gone where it needs to be torn down and a new one built. The second thing is a demographic study. We need to know where families are moving. Since 2008, we did one in 2008, 2018 now, we wanted to know where families are moving. So that is the second piece of the puzzle that went into the formula for determining what we're going to do and where we're going to do it. The third thing is community input, and this was probably the most important piece. And from September until February, we had 10 public forums all over the parish. And each time we had a public forum, we went back and every bit of data was recorded. We went back, we took that data, we looked at it, we made some changes. Brownfields Elementary, for example, was going to be on a new site away from where that school is. We learned in the public forums that they want that school back on their home site. We're going to put it back on their home site. So the public forums were critically important to get everyone's input from all around Baton Rouge, and we had 10 of them from September to February. Our principals, who are the boots on the ground with teachers, had over 400 pages of input on what they needed. A lot of that was maintenance, and we can do that in the maintenance piece of it. But a lot of it was, I need a new school. I need a new school. And so we looked at that, and we took that input. And finally, our board input. Our school board met and had 5 workshops over the period of the last several months to hone this down, to make sure we're doing the right thing, make sure we're taking care of kids all over the parish. So now I want to talk about, once we got that input, we started looking at the schools and we tried to determine what do we need, where do we need it. So I want you to think about some guiding principles that we had as we move forward. Number one, a part of our strategic plan says neighborhood schools. So one of the things we did in making these decisions is we wanted to put our kids closer to where they live. So that was an important part of why we did what we did. The second part was we wanted as many kids as possible in either new or renovated facilities. It may be hard to believe we've built 18 new schools in the last 18 years, but the average age of construction right now in our district is 1968. 1968 is the average age of construction. We need to update that, and so that is why, so the second piece is to put our kids in new and renovated schools. And so that's why when we look at where they are now, we have a lot of older schools that we need to either eliminate or consolidate, and that's the third part of it. And finally, we need our kids to have the programming they need. East Baton Rouge Parish is a very unique parish in that we have probably 51% of our students going to magnet or specialized programs all over the district, and they travel all over the district, and that's a good thing. And we have 10 national blue ribbon schools, and I think that's important to note too. So I guess I could consolidate and say this. We wanted to do 3 things. We wanted to consolidate schools, and this program consolidates schools. One of the ways we achieved that is we're consolidating White Hills and Brownfields into one new school. We're consolidating University Terrace and Buchanan into one new school. We're adding a middle school component at the Glen Oaks High School campus, and we're going to have the 3 feeder schools into the middle school there go up to 6th grade. That would be Marydale, Glen Oaks Park, and what's that other one? Sharon Hills, thank you. So those 3 would go up to 6th grade. We'd have 7th and 8th grade on the Glen Oaks campus, and then it'll be a 7-12 combination school. We've also achieved that in the Scotlandville area. Right now, our traditional kids in the Scotlandville area travel to Park Forest. We want them closer to home. And so those kids will go to either a renovated Progress Elementary for middle school or Crestworth Elementary that we're working on with the state to try to get that school back, just like we did at Struman. We're working very hard on that, and we really need that back because we need our traditional kids in that neighborhood area. And then the third way we were successful in that is in McKinley. McKinley has a middle school magnet program, but not a traditional program. So we're going to take Buchanan Elementary and merge it with University Terrace on the University Terrace campus. And then that Buchanan campus becomes a palette, so to speak, to rebuild the new McKinley High School. But they need a middle school concept, so we're adding 7th and 8th grade there, and the feeder pattern will come right out of University Terrace, will come out of Buchanan, and will come out of Polk, which would once again become a traditional walk up and bicycle ride school. So I really want to thank the advisory committee. This has been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hours and hours and hours of work that have gone into this plan, and I think it's a very good plan. I think it's good for Baton Rouge. I think it's good for this entire community. You're going to get a sheet just like this before you leave today, and this shows not only the projects that we have proposed, but it shows the years we have proposed them in. And I'm going to give you a snapshot of that right now. For example, in year 1, Glen Oaks High School classroom and renovations. Right now, Glen Oaks Middle School was taken over by the state years ago. You all know that. So we don't have that middle school trajectory up into our high school, and so we need to do that. So we're going to, Glen Oaks High School is being renovated. As you know, that part of that is going to be from the flood money, part will be money from the general fund. The Broadmoor Middle site will be closed and renovated for a program to be determined later. That's in year 1. So at the end of next year, Broadmoor Middle will be closed. Most of those 350 to 60 students will be sent back to the schools that are actually closer to their homes. Capitol Middle, some at Park Forest, few at Southeast Middle, few at Westdale. Those kids will go back to that site while Broadmoor Middle is being renovated. When it comes back online in 2020, 2021, then we will determine what the programming is. One of the ideas is to make it the foreign language academic immersion magnet. We're one of the only school systems our size that does not have a K-12 foreign language immersion. And we need that. So that's one of the areas where we can attract kids from outside of our district. Another school that's being rebuilt is WHAM, Westdale Heights Academic Magnet, and that is, I'm not sure what year. Baton Rouge Center is in year 4. I think WHAM is in year 7. Those schools attract kids from outside. We're also going to build a new, we're going to add, Brownfields is going to be a brand new school up on its current site, as I mentioned before. And we also have Forest Heights. We're building we're going to add a sort of, I guess you call it a wow space or something there where they can do plays and performances. It is an A school. Not only is it an A school, Forest Heights, it is a National Blue Ribbon School this year, so that is just an awesome opportunity for them. And just skipping down to give you some ideas, in year 2 we will purchase property. Actually in year 1 we're going to purchase property for new schools in South Baton Rouge. That's determined by demographics. We don't know where it would be right now. It could be, there's an Arlington site that is right south of Baton Rouge. That's a great site. Currently, it's an alternative school there. It's a special school there is what it is, not an alternative school. But one of the things the board has asked me to do is to make sure we get as many kids in better facilities. And we have some alternative schools that those kids deserve and need to be in better facilities as well. And this plan will solve that problem. Baton Rouge Center is another one, McKinley High. Wildwood will be one that we add to. The Belfair Montessori Magnet, La Belle Air. Woodlawn High School Classroom Addition, we're going to add a STEM robotics wow space there. And in year 2, we're going to plan for the new school, which would probably be an elementary school in the southern part of our parish. Just skipping around a little bit, Sherwood Middle Academic Magnet needs additional space. It also needs more security, and we know that's at the top of our agendas right now with what's happened around the country. And we're very aware of that as we move forward. And then the high schools toward the end of the project will get some different, some athletic pieces to it, some academic pieces to it. Scotlandville Magnet High School has one of the top engineering schools for high school in the country, and they're going to get a new building for that engineering model. it has been a model for the nation. So I think that sort of covers where we are, and I'm going to stop right there and see if there's any questions you may have. Yes, sir.
You talk about the salaries piece a bit, because there have been some fairly close votes even on renewals for some salaries around the state. How much does that amount to? Does it involve salaries for like charter school folks that you're involved with?
It is 41% of that. Yes. The question was, what about the salary piece? That's Proposition 3. So what about the salary piece? What does it include? Every one of our employees, not in the charter schools, in our schools, our 83 schools, every one of those employees receive a supplement. Currently, we are competitive with the neighboring districts around us. Competitive means I think West Baton Rouge pays a little more, I think Iberville pays a little more, Zachary just a little bit more. We're very competitive. We actually pay a little more than Livingston and right about where we are with Ascension. So a part of that salary that is competitive is a supplement within that. If Proposition 3 should not pass, but I have every intention of it passing, and I've been very happy to know that the public has supported us in that. But should that not pass, those supplements would go away. But every one of our employees receives a supplement as Proposition 3, and it's about, don't hold me to the exact number, but it's in the $360 million. It's 41% of the 1 cent sales tax over a 10-year period. Yes, ma'am.
Are the three propositions tied together, so if one fails, they all fail, or are they?
No, ma'am. They are separate propositions. I'm pretty sure this is the only thing on the ballot on April 28th, but you have to pull the trigger for 1, 2, and 3, and any one of them could pass, and another one could not pass. But again, I want to say the community has supported us with anywhere from like 67 to 72% approval rating. And one of the reasons, and I'll mention it again, is because every project we've done, and I want to thank the CSRS for helping us and board leadership, every one of the projects we have done has come in under budget and on time. And one of the lanyard areas that we received from that was Estruma High School. Because when you have the monies that are left over, and if you're under budget, that begins to add up, and those monies were used to build Estruma High School. So that school is lanyard as part of the plan moving forward, as part of the tax plan. Yes, ma'am.
Warren, in light of the recent school shootings and other tragedies around the country, have you done a different look at how structures might be built, school structures might be built, and is that incorporated into some of this planning to keep them safe?
Yes, the question is, in light of the recent school shootings and the things happening around the country, have we looked at building schools a little bit differently, or what have we done to make sure our schools are safer? So, Beth, yes. Number one, we have some things in place currently, but our schools that are currently now, I was principal at Tara High School. It has 17 sets of double doors. So it's not the safest facility because people can open it. But we absolutely are working on that proactively, number one. Right now at Sherwood Middle, if you've ever been to Sherwood Middle, you walk through a classway hall to get to the office. We're changing that. We did that even before this last school shooting, where we're going to take a classroom and make it secure, open it up, and then buzz people into the hallway to go to the office. We're also doing that at McKinley High School. But certainly as new schools are being built, we will make sure that they are as safe as possible. When I was principal at Tara High School, I had a young lady who was a junior there who attended Columbine High School. This was 1999. And she said, Mr. Drake, I have to go bury my friends at Columbine. And so I looked into that. And Columbine was one of the safest schools in America. It had one way in the school. It had a what do you call that? Yes, where you had to walk through a metal detector. Every student had to walk through a metal detector. And so, but I still believe that peace of mind with our parents, we want to make our schools as safe as possible, and that will be designed into the new schools. Yes, ma'am. Charles?
Yeah, so you've seen the news about St. George reviving let's say I'm someone who signed that petition, and now I'm being asked to sign it again, and I'm being asked to go to the polls on April 28th. I might be tempted to just say, no, I prefer St. George. Why should I vote for this? What do you tell voters like me?
Well, number one, we've done a great job in the southeast part of Baton Rouge. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot that goes into education. Number one, we've got great leadership there. Have changed some leadership there. We have added programming there. And let me ask the question again. I'm sorry. What about the St. George voter? Why would they vote for this tax plan? We've done a great job in Southeast Baton Rouge. We have added programming. We've added a magnet program at both Woodlawn Middle and Woodlawn High School. And this is not in response to the St. George. We're going to take care of our kids wherever they are, all over the parish. We're going to take care of our children wherever they are. But we have added a magnet program at Woodlawn Middle and High School. We are adding a four classroom building at Shenandoah Elementary School. We have made sure that we've added some schools. Jefferson Home Sites is actually that's being designed right now, is actually in the current proposed St. George zone. This board approved Basis, probably the best charter school in the United States, about a year ago, and it will open in August. So we've done a great job in Baton Rouge, but I'm concerned with every child in our school district. And I think we've done a great job all over this parish. And so, to go ahead and answer that question a little deeper, we have at least, well, let me say over 1,000 students and probably closer to 1,500 students who come from that proposed district who go to specialized programs all over our district. They go to Lehigh, they go to Baton Rouge High, they go to Sherwood Academic Magnet. These are schools that some of them are national merit schools. They go to Flame, the Foreign Language Academic Immersion Magnet. They go to Sherwood. They go to Glasgow. They go to WAM, West Elm Heights. They go to Baton Rouge Center for the Visual and Performing Arts. We have over 1,000 and maybe 1,500 kids from that proposed district who go to our schools outside of their district. And I would hate to see them lose that opportunity. We have an economy of scale, and we have the resources where we can provide something that a smaller district may not be able to provide.
And Warren, you've met with them, I know, all year. You've talked to them about these improvements that you're trying to make and working on. Obviously, it hasn't been enough. So what now? And do you think there's any way if this tax passes and these capital building programs get underway, it might sway voters?
Well, Stephanie, thank you for that question. I think the question is basically what we've already done a lot there. What are we going to do more? And maybe what we are doing is going to sway those voters. And as I just said, I think we've done a lot. I don't think we're doing anything to appease anyone in any part of town. I think what we've done, if you listen to the 5 areas that we talked about, the demographic plan, the facility plan, all of these things is what determines, Stephanie, what we did, what we're planning to do, where we're going to do it. But I think when somebody goes to the ballot and realizes all of the kids and all of the opportunities we have outside of that district as well, they're going to make the choice they want to make. I believe our children are our greatest resource. And those of you in this room who still have children who are school age, you want to be able to choose where your child goes to school. We believe that. We have to make our schools the choice of parents in East Baton Rouge Parish. So I believe that. I believe that every parent ought to be able to choose where their child goes to school. And so we're focusing on getting kids in new facilities, every one of them in new and renovated facilities, in 21st century learning facilities. We have Park Elementary that we're currently getting ready to start building. It's designed and ready to go. It is going to be a 21st century learning environment, technology rich, pods, different things in there like you've not seen in any other school. And I believe our schools ought to be like that. So we want to make sure our kids get in those environments. But I don't think we do anything to try to stop or create something where people do something or don't do something. We've taken care of all parts of our parish. We needed a high school in North Baton Rouge. The Struma High School, if you've never been there, you need to go visit that school. We're getting ready to start the the two buildings that are going to be the career and tech buildings. One is going to teach kids how to build a house from the ground up. Another one is going to teach kids how to go and work for Exxon or Dow or Shell or one of these companies along the river here. So it's a fantastic learning environment for them. So I think we have to take care of our kids wherever they are. Forest Heights, National Blue Ribbon School. We're going to build them a theater type building where they can have these productions every year. So it doesn't matter where they are in this parish. We're going to take care of our kids in this parish. We have an opportunity in South Baton Rouge near where Arlington is to partner with LSU and do some things there that are going to be incredible too. So I think wherever, we don't do something to try to prevent something from happening. We're going to do something what's best for kids. And right now, all of those kids are ours. Every kid is ours, and they're just as important as any other child wherever they are, and we're going to take care of them wherever they are in this parish. Question? Yes, sir.
The general rule of thumb is that sales taxes are aggressive and have a disproportionate negative impact on the poor. Have you guys given any consideration of property taxes, generally what's used to fund education? What's the question?
The question is, sales taxes are generally considered progressive taxes. Has there been any?
Regressive.
Regressive, I'm sorry. Is there any consideration to a property tax? This is a renewal, and it's going to stay a renewal, so there's no opportunity to go back and make it a property tax. Personally, I like the idea of Alabama fans coming here and having to pay for us, right? Everybody who travels through this community is going to pay part of that tax. So it's not just the people in this community. So whenever there's something that happens, when LSU has games, when Southern has games, and fans come in from out of town, everybody will pay a part of that. So I'm very happy with it. It's a renewal. The people have supported us tremendously over the years in it, and it can't change for that right now. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
What is the current breakdown expenditure of that one penny? Is it changing from the current status in any way, from that 41.8 to 51?
We added, the question is, what is the current status in phase 3 of that 1 cent sales tax? That, and,
Yeah, the breakdown, of that penny. Is
for the
there a
3
change?
propositions?
Yes.
Okay.
Of the percentage that, for example, you're saying 41% of that penny will go to
Okay.
staff. What currently is going to staff pay from any that's currently on board?
Okay. The question is, in Proposition 1, 2, and 3, the percentages of Prop 1, 2, and 3, what is it currently at? What are we doing? So the answer is, it's exactly the 41% in phase 3, and it has been in phase 2 and phase 1. So in phase 4, it would be 51% for building new schools and renovating them, 8% for truancy and alternative education, and 41% for salaries and benefits. It's exactly the same as it was in the other. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Do you believe it's well enough known that this is a renewal and that it's for 10 years?
We are trying to get out that information. We have a public information officer here, and we have a lot. We just finished, the board just approved this a couple of weeks ago. And so we're working on that information. The question is, do we know, does the public know? That's the question. We are working on getting that information out. We're developing some videos. We currently have a program on television and radio and in print to promote this, but we want the people to know exactly what it is, because I believe when the people know what we're doing and when this proposition is passed, they are going to see kids in new facilities, renovated, 21st century facilities. I believe in 3 things, and I think our board does too. We believe in academics, number 1. We believe in character, number 2, but we also believe in athletics. I think athletics is important because athletics teaches things like teamwork. It teaches things like discipline, hard work, and things like that. So whenever our kids can learn in different areas, so it's going to encompass all of those things. But academics always is number 1. And the programming we're going to add in this new plan is going to be significant. 21st century learning, technology rich.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
can I ask you about early childhood education? I've heard a figure tossed around that there are about 1,000 children in EBR that show up in kindergarten and have no pre-education. They're not LA4, they're not Head Start. What is your emphasis on early childhood in light of the fact that the state now has Act 3 and there's some sort of coordinated effort? What's the approach there?
Beth, the question is, what about early childhood education? There's been stated that 1,000 kids may come to our system every year and not have any education prior to going into kindergarten. It's a great question. I believe in early childhood education. I think it's the most important thing. A parent should be the first and best teacher their child ever has, but sometimes that doesn't happen. So I'm a believer in early childhood education. The problem is it's not funded from the state. So we have to find a way to get universal pre-K if we can. We are expanding pre-K programs when we can. It's funded through the LA4 program and the 8G program, which is offshore oil. But I think one of the things that's happened recently, Beth, I think that's good, and that is Act 3 has brought together school system pre-K, Head Start pre-K, and also private child care pre-K. And it's put it all together under one umbrella called the EBR network that we have. And in that network, the state trains people where everybody has the same training and the same teaching styles and is evaluated the same way. So I think we're already better off by having everybody under one umbrella, teaching a curriculum that's a Tier 1 curriculum, that's the best curriculum, and being evaluated properly. And that hasn't happened in the past. So I'm a believer in pre-K. If we could make universal pre-K, Mr. Tapman, if we can do that, it would be wonderful. Because the younger we get a child, the better off a child has to be successful in life. And that's what our goal is. Charles?
So 2 of the best attended forums were Glen Oaks High School and at McKinley High. And you know, there was some supporters of those schools that hoped for more that coming into the tax plan. And there's been talk about maybe not voting for this as a result. What would you tell people at those schools to try to get them to support this?
The question was, 2 of our biggest community forums was at McKinley and Glen Oaks. And so they want more. What are we going to do to help those people and to talk them into voting for this? I think at the end of the day, Charles, when people look at what is proposed, and I'm going to give you what is proposed in just a minute, and you may have already seen it. I think when they see that, they're going to realize the dynamic program we have for them. For example, I'm going to take McKinley High. Buchanan is contiguous. The Buchanan campus is contiguous with the McKinley campus. If you were to look at it from 10,000 feet and you take the Buchanan campus away, build them a brand new 2-story school at University Terrace, then you've got a bigger landscape to work with. Not only that, we're talking about purchasing the properties. There's 3 blocks that surround the front of McKinley High School. If we were to purchase those 3 blocks, we can move that whole school in a completely different configuration. One of the new buildings that's planned there is a 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. But it doesn't have to be a 7th, 8th, and 9th. It could be 10th, 11th, and 12th grade building. It's just a place setting. And I think if we could do a rendering, it would be great. But then when you do a rendering this far out, then people will say, well, that's the way the school has to look. And an artist rendering is a little different from what actual. But I can assure the people of McKinley and Glen Oaks, this board approved $8 million from the general fund about a month ago to make sure that Glen Oaks High School gets back to a school of about 850, and every bit of it is brand new or renovated, including the athletic facilities. It's going to be a dynamic facility. When they see that, I have no doubt that they're going to support this renewal. And I think Glen Oaks is the same and McKinley's the same too. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Let's say that you pass your sales tax.
Oh, it's going to pass.
Let's just say you do pass it. Congratulations. And let's say down the road, St. George is also successful. How much money is going to come out of that sales tax if St. George is successful? Have you done any numbers on that?
Actually, within the city within the defined boundaries. In other words, the question was, what happens if St. George, we pass this plan and St. George pulls out? Well, first off, we have done things in St. George with a new school at Jefferson Home Sites in our part of, in Mr. Tappan's district, and also Basis. So we've added 2 schools right there even before there was even talk of that. So that's being proactive, number one. The tax plan calls for 3 schools or 3 schools on one site or 3 schools on 3 different sites. We don't have the property yet. And that could be anywhere from the Mississippi River to the Amite River. We're identifying the Arlington site as a great site. It's close to LSU. LSU likes to have partnerships with us. They have a partnership with LSU. So we don't know where those would be. So I don't think the tax plan is actually going to be affected at all, with or without St. George breaking away.
You're going to lose those sales taxes though from the St. George district, correct?
And that's a great question. She said you're going to lose that. You would. However, this is a pay-as-you-go plan. This is a pay-as-you-go plan. We don't start any school until the money's in the bank. And so when the money's in the bank, it would slow some projects down potentially, but we're not going to build anything that doesn't have the money in the bank. But I don't think it would change the tax plan at all. Last question.
Compared to the best districts in the nation, which our children have to compete, where do we fall in terms of revenue per child?
The question is, where do we fall with the best districts in the nation as far as revenue? We receive about $11,000 per student through state, federal, MFP funds, which is the Minimum Foundation Program. I'm not sure what other districts get. There are some that get a lot more than that. There are some that get maybe a little less than that. But here's what I do know. I know that over the past 8 years, the state Minimum Foundation Program had built in it before a 2.75% cost of living increase every year. That increase has not happened but one time in the last 8 years. And you know, when there's a hold steady, then really you're going backward. You know, the way I say that is this: you're either moving forward or going backward. And if you're not doing anything, you're going backward. And so, but this is not all about money. We have to be a better, we have to use our finances better. I've put together an ad hoc committee that is in the middle of a zero balance, zero budgeting look right now. It's different than we've done before. When I took over 3 years ago, we had a $30 million deficit. We cut about $13 million the first year. We have to take care of the people's money. It's not our money. We work for you. And that's what I preach in our schools all the time. We work for you. And we have to be better stewards of our money. And so the money we have is the money we have. We have to become more efficient. That's part of this tax plan. A part of it is to close schools. We are tearing down 6 facilities in this tax plan to get rid of these old facilities. We're consolidating other facilities so we'll become more efficient in administration. We'll become more efficient with the money. So I don't know exactly where we are with the best districts in the world, but we want to take care of our kids, but we want to be good stewards of the people's money, and that's who we work for, the people of Baton Rouge.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.